John and Ashley are here to help us with warm-ups. We're going to start with our neck. So grounding down through the glutes and feeling really grounded in your mat space, we're going to focus on the neck. Take your right ear to your right shoulder. Your right hand will come up and over and hold on to your head above your left ear. Take an exhale and bring your ear closer to your right shoulder. Notice the stretch you feel. If you want to go deeper, take your left hand and start to walk it away from your midline. As you take an exhale, give a little bit more pressure to the head and stretch the neck a little bit more deeply. Take another deep breath here, in and out. And then bring that left hand back onto the leg. Release the right hand to the leg as well and straighten out your neck. We'll do the other side, so left ear to left shoulder. Left hand comes up and over to connect to the head, and then give it a little gentle pressure down. We'll take a few breaths here. And then when you're ready, walking that right hand off the thigh or leg and away from the midline, you'll notice a deeper stretch. Take another inhale, and exhales are always the time to invite a deeper stretch. We'll take that right hand back onto the leg. Left hand can return to the leg, and we'll neutralize the neck. We can roll the shoulders up and back a few times, and then up and forward a few times. Going into our easy seated spinal twist, we'll sweep the arms up and then take your right hand by your right hip, left hand on your right knee. Lift through the spine and then twist belly button, rib cage, chest, shoulders, neck, eye gaze, and crown of the head. As you exhale, invite a deeper twist. Inhale, allow your body to soften some. We'll go one more time, exhaling as deep as possible, and then inhaling back to center. Sweeping the arms up overhead, we'll now take the left hand by the left hip, right hand above the left knee. Again, lengthen the spine, and then twist belly button, ribs, chest, shoulders, neck, eye gaze, and crown of the head. As you exhale, invite that deeper twist. As you inhale, allow yourself to soften. Again, exhale as deep as possible. And on an inhale, we'll come back around to center. Noticing and being aware of any muscle or fatty tissue around the glutes and hips, we can kind of lift up that tissue and just make sure we're really nice and grounded. We're going to do a seated lateral stretch. So take your right hand by your right hip, your left arm up and over, and we're going to reach and walk. You might start to walk your right hand away from your midline too, as you get a nice side body stretch. So you're keeping that left glute grounded as you reach over to the right. Again, think about that ocean wave breath. Think of ocean waves washing up on shore and rolling back into the ocean. As you exhale, go a little deeper. You're rolling up onto the sand. And as you inhale, soften. You're that wave that goes back into the ocean. So one more breath as we stretch over to the right. And then if your right hand is walked out, you can start to bring it back in. We'll take our left hand by our left hip, sweep that right arm up and over, ground through the right glute, and then again, practice that ocean wave breath. So exhale, go a little bit more deeply into your side body. Notice your right obliques. Deep breath in and let it go. Slight, subtle movements. Deepen on your exhale. Soften on your inhale. We'll go one more time, exhaling as deep as you can into this side body stretch. And then start to let your left hand return towards your midline until your right hand comes up and returns to the earth. Beautiful. John and Ashley will help demonstrate some more warm-ups. We'll start with thread the needle. So if you come onto your mat on hands and knees, tabletop position to start with. Knees will be under hips, wrists under shoulders. We're going to transfer that left hand to the center of our mat, and our right hand will lift up. Our gaze will follow it, follow that thumb, and then sweep the right arm underneath the left. So the right shoulder and the right side of your head comes onto the mat. If you'd like, you can lift that left arm up and reach it for the opposite hip crease. You do not need to. Take a breath here, and then the left arm will lift back up if it's bent behind the back. Plant it on the floor. Right arm lifts up, again, taking a nice big sweep to the opposite side, gaze follows, and then return to hands and knees, tabletop. Right hand will shift to the center of the mat, and now left arm takes a big sweep, gaze follows that thumb. Take the left arm underneath the right, shoulder inside of the head, come down to the mat, and option to lift that right arm, bending the elbow back, reaching for the hip crease. If your left elbow is bent, go ahead and bring that back around, left hand to the earth, and then sweep that right arm out from underneath your left arm, sweep it up to the opposite side, gaze follows that right thumb, and then bring it back down into the mat, tabletop position. So now you want to try to move breath with body, inhaling the arm up and exhaling the arm down. We'll try again to move through, thread the needle with your own breath, your own body movement. It doesn't matter what anyone else is doing. It's important to find your own pace. Your yoga practice is all your own. There's no competition, no comparison, no judgment. It's getting in tune with your body and doing what feels right for you. Once you've done both sets, 3 sets on either side, you can go ahead and slide your hips back over your ankles and find a child's pose or embryo pose to rest in. So we'll take both of the legs, both feet are facing the right side. Take the hands, frame that left knee. Visualize a bar, kind of think of like a limbo bar. And you're gonna tuck the chin into the chest. Dive under that bar, crown of the head goes down first. Then you're lifting up through the crown of the head, paying attention to the vertebrae in the spine. When you're ready to exhale back down, you lead with the heart, keep looking up, and then tuck the chin last. Chin stays tucked into the chest until your spine is tall and the head comes up last. We'll do that 2 more times, diving down through the crown of the head, and then lifting up through the crown. Exhaling, leading down with the chest, tucking the chin last, rounding the spine up, crown of the head tall. Last time. Diving down through the crown of the head, making it under that imaginary bar, lifting up with the crown of the head, and then leading with the heart first, keeping the gaze up, tucking the chin in, keeping the chin tucked to the chest. Feel that neck stretch until you're sitting up tall, neck comes up tall. Beautiful, we'll switch sides. So now feet moving over to the left side body. Frame that right knee. Again, visualize your imaginary bar and lead with the crown of the head. Dive it down towards the earth, lifting the crown of the head up to the sky. Leading now with the heart center, chest leads first, then tuck the chin in. Keep the chin tucked until your spine is tall and round the head up last. Again, dive it down, crown of the head. Lifting up with the crown of the head. Take your time. Lead with the heart. Roll the head in last. Keep it tucked. Feel that neck stretch and lifting up tall. Last round. Dive it down. Crown of the head first. Skimming the earth, lifting up. And then lead with the heart center. Tuck the chin into the chest. Create that long spine and lift the head tall. Beautiful. Ava, Melina, and Sydney are here to help demonstrate some warm-ups. So we're going to start with a popular warm-up, cat-cows. Go ahead and find your tabletop position. So knees under hips and wrists under shoulders. Nice neutral spine. For your cow pose, you're going to drop your belly down towards the earth, making a concave back. Gaze is forward, heart is open. Your glutes are engaged. Metatarsals can be down on the mat or toes can be curled under. For your cat, you're going to arch the mid-back up towards the sky. Tuck the chin into the chest and tuck the tailbone. Feel this nice long stretch. And then begin to move with your breath. Inhaling to your cow pose, dropping the belly, opening the heart, engaging the glutes. And exhaling to your cat pose, tucking the chin and the tailbone. Go ahead and do 5 more rounds on your own, working to connect your breath and your body. It doesn't matter what anyone else looks like. This is your practice. And there's no competition, no comparison, and no judgment. We just want to focus on feeling the change through every vertebrae in your back. Finding child's pose or embryo pose when you're ready to move on. For sunbirds, we have 3 different variations. Sydney is going to do our first variation. You'll inhale your right arm and your left leg up, even with the spine. Turn that palm, Sydney, so that it's like you're shaking someone's hand, so the palm face is perfect. And then you'll exhale those limbs back down to the earth. Inhale the left arm and the right leg. Again, rotate that palm, perfect, and bring it down to the mat. So keep going at your own pace. With an inhale of the opposite limbs coming up, exhale with them coming down. Melina's gonna add a crunch. So Melina will inhale right arm and left leg, and then exhale knee to elbow, activating the core before she brings those limbs down to the mat. Go ahead and continue on your own, Melina. Ava's gonna add another step, a reach back. So she'll lift up those limbs, then reach back for them, press hand into foot, and then Ava work to keep that gaze forward, open the heart forward, press hand into foot as much as you can, and then again extend those limbs forward and back down to the earth. Go ahead and switch sides. So you'll decide which variation is right for you. Our classic sunbird, our sunbird crunch, or our sunbird reach back. Take your time. Remember, there's no rush. And we'll do 1 more each side. Beautiful. So downward facing dog is a challenging pose for some people, and if it's done incorrectly, it can actually put more stress on the wrists than we'd like it to. So Nani is going to help us demonstrate the type of downward facing dog you want to make sure you take when practicing yoga. When people start, they tend to take a downward dog with their wrist to shoulders, not in a very deep diagonal. So yeah, something kind of like this. This over time is going to put a lot of stress on the wrists. So we want to make sure that the hips are really up and back, and we have a deep diagonal line from wrist to shoulder. Fingers are going to be spread wide to grip the mat, and you're going to think about breathing your heart towards your thighs. A lot of people have a misconception that the heels have to touch the ground in down dog. They don't, but you're going to press those heels down towards the earth to get a nice stretch down the back of the legs. We're here to go through sun salutations today. We're going to start with sun salutation A. If you're new to yoga, you're going to follow Avery. Intermediate level, Mackenzie. And advanced level, Bailey. Go ahead and take your hands over your iliac crests of your hips, kind of where the hip bone protrudes. So this is what we're talking about when we say hip width apart. You want to make sure that your feet are planted right underneath those pelvic bones. And then we talk about the four corners of the feet. So under the big toe mound, pinky toe mound, and either side of your heels. Sometimes it helps to rock a little bit back and forth on your feet just before you plant them and make sure that your weight is evenly distributed. So with that in mind, go ahead and step to the top of your mat. Hands will start in Anjali Mudra at heart center. Mudras are hand postures, and this hand posture is good to find your center and cultivate qualities of the heart like warmth, love, and kindness. Taking a breath here in and out before we get started. And on your next inhale, we'll go into extended Tadasana, breathing the arms up overhead, shoulders are relaxed down the back body, and core is engaged. Exhale, let your feet go flat if they're lifted and fold into a full forward fold. Head and neck are heavy. We're hinging in towards our midline as deeply as possible. On your next inhale, Ardha Uttanasana, or half forward fold. Hands can come onto the shins or fingertips or knuckles on the mat. We want to engage our glutes and really press back through our hamstrings. Our gaze is down at the earth. Next exhale, again into your full forward fold. Head and neck go heavy. You might even take your hands behind your ankles to pull in towards your midline. With awareness in the sacrum or the low back, on your next breath, you will inhale to standing. So either hinge or round one vertebrae at a time. Shoulders roll down the back and then arms are elevated again, extended Tadasana. Engage that core. On your exhale, bring hands down to heart center, Anjali Mudra. This is an excellent time to breathe the eyes closed and take a body scan, crown of the head to soles of the feet. On your next inhale, again, extended Tadasana, arms overhead, and engage that core. Gaze could come to the sky and heels could lift off the ground. Exhale, down, full forward fold. Head and neck become heavy. Inhale, halfway up, long, flat back, engaged glutes and long hamstrings. We'll plant the hands on the earth and then hop or step back into a plank. We want those wrists directly under the shoulders in your strong plank, and then chaturanga or tricep push-up. Bring the heart down, then hips and metatarsals. Those arms stay close to the midline. Hands stay at heart level, and then straighten those arms as you press up into your upward facing dog. Engaging the legs, you might notice a hip lift, you might not. And then if you'd like, bend the knees, point the toes, feet will reach forward and head will reach back. Take a deep breath here, in and out. And then our feet will return to the mat, curl the toes under, lift the hips high, downward facing dog. We want to make sure that our fingers are spread wide and we have a deep diagonal line from our wrist to our shoulders. We're breathing our chest towards our thighs and we're breathing our heels towards the ground. Taking another breath here and then bringing your gaze between your hands or to the top of the mat. Slight bend in the knees. Float or step your feet forward, half fold. So again, long spine, flat back. Engage those glutes and press or breathe into your hamstrings. Exhale into your full forward fold. Let that neck relax. And then awareness in the sacrum, the low back, round or hinge all the way up to standing. Shoulder blades roll down the back. Elevate those arms. Gaze could come up to the sky, or core is tight. And then plant your feet and bring those hands back to heart center, Anjali Mudra. Deep breath in and deep breath out. Melina, Ainsley, and Lexi are here to help us with Sun Salutation B. So go ahead and step to the top of your mat. Take your hands to heart center, Anjali Mudra. Take a deep breath in and out. We'll sweep the arms overhead and bend the knees, sinking into our chair pose. Go ahead and tuck the tailbone under to find more length in the spine. The energetics of the legs are that your upper legs are energizing away from your midline, lower legs energizing towards your midline. Think about pressing floorboards apart with the energy of your feet. On your next breath, wrists come to the outside of the ankles and slowly straighten into your legs, finding a full forward fold. Relax the head and the neck. Inhale, halfway up, Ardha Uttanasana with a long spine. Gaze can come down at the earth. Press into those hamstrings. Make sure the glutes are engaged. Go ahead and plant your hands and step or hop back into a full plank. Wrists directly under the shoulders. Making sure the elbows bend towards the belly. Tricep push-up or chaturanga dandasana. Heart melts down first and then hips and then toes. Hands stay at heart level, straightening the arms into your upward facing dog. Stretching out that core and back. And then curling the toes under, lifting the hips high into your downward facing dog. Make sure wrist to shoulder is a deep diagonal and fingers are spread wide. Drop down through your heels to get a deeper length down the back of your legs. You'll inhale the right leg up with awareness in the shoulders so we don't twist. Go ahead and plant that right foot in between the hands. We'll find a runner's lunge, lifting the torso and then replanting that back foot to warrior one. Hands on the hips. In warrior one, both hips are facing forward. You want to go ahead and take your front knee, make sure it's stacked over the ankle and not extending past the ankle. The back heel is grounded. Once you're strong and stable here, go ahead and lift the arms overhead, shoulder blades roll down the back. Core is strong as you take a few nice deep breaths. On your next exhale, go ahead and bring the hands back down to the mat and find your plank. Chaturanga, heart, hips, and metatarsos come down. Inhaling up to your upward facing dog. We straighten those arms, stretch out the core in the back. Curling the toes under, again, downward facing dog, high hips. You can always bend one knee and then the other if you need to pedal out your down dog a little bit. Again, with awareness in the shoulders so that they stay flat and parallel to the top edge of the mat. We'll lift the left leg now. We can have awareness in that right heel. Make sure we push it a little bit more down towards the earth. And then the left foot will step in between the hands, runner's lunge. That turns into a crescent warrior as we lift the torso and then go ahead and replant that back foot. Warrior one. Hands on the hips, make sure hips are facing forward. Make sure that front knee does not pass the front ankle. Back heel's grounded. You feel a nice calf stretch back there. And then breathe the arms up, overhead, relaxing the shoulders and tightening the core, especially on your exhale. On your next exhale, hands come back down to the mat, step it back into your plank. And again, chaturanga, heart, hips, and toes. Inhaling right into your upward facing dog. Curling the toes under, lifting the hips high. We'll find our downward facing dog. Make sure you have that deep diagonal wrist to shoulder. And then gaze forward between your hands or to the top of the mat. Slight bend in the knees. Step or float your feet into that half forward fold. So find a long spine. Engage the glutes. Press back through the hamstrings. Exhale down, full forward fold as deep in as you can towards your midline. Awareness in the sacrum, the low back, and then round or hinge up one vertebrae at a time. Till you're standing, roll those shoulders down, elevate the arms up overhead, bend into the knees, sink the hips down, chair pose, Utkatasana. Maybe tuck the tailbone if you need to find more length in the back body. Engage those legs. On your next inhale, we'll come tall, and exhale, hands to heart center, Anjali Mudra. For our classical sun salutation, follow Jessie if you're new to yoga, Ava if you're intermediate, and Chloe for advanced. We'll step to the top of our mats and take our hands at heart center, Anjali Mudra. Take a deep breath in and out to center yourself. And then on your next inhale, sweep the arms up overhead, palms connect. You're going to plant through the four corners of the feet and lift through your heart chakra, taking a standing back bend. Go at your own pace. We never want to feel like there's any compacting or constriction on the back body. Coming up nice and tall and then diving down into your full forward fold. Head and neck are heavy. We're hinging in towards our midline, and you can use a yoga block if that is helpful to you. Stepping your right foot back as your hands come to the mat, we'll take a runner's lunge. You can use blocks for this as well to help make sure that the left knee is stacked over the left ankle. Back glute is engaged. You feel energy leaving through that back heel. Core is engaged as well. Go ahead and step both feet back now into your plank, wrists directly under shoulders, core tight. We'll do a tricep push-up or chaturanga, heart, hips, and then metatarsals. Hands stay at heart level. Bring the big toes to touch. We're engaging the legs. We don't want to let the feet fly. Using our low back, we'll lift the chest and the head for cobra pose. You can hover the hands or plant the hands on the mat. But again, the low back does the work. Go ahead and relax on your next out breath and push back to a child's pose or embryo pose. Knees can come to the outer edge of the mat, wide knee child pose. They can stay together, and if your shoulders need a break, you'll go ahead and bring your hands back towards your feet like Ava is doing. On your next inhale, we'll bring the hands forward into a tabletop position. So wrists directly under shoulders, knees directly under hips. Nice neutral spine, and your neck is an extension of the spine. So gaze is straight down at the earth. Chloe, we can bring your hips back just a smidge and then drop your head. Yeah, perfect. So from this tabletop, go ahead and curl your toes under, lift your hips high, deep diagonal from wrist to shoulder, spreading the fingers wide. You can bend into each knee if you need to walk your dog out. And then breathe that heart towards the thighs as you breathe down through your heels. On your next inhale, gaze will come forward. Step your right foot forward, runner's lunge. Again, making sure the knee is directly over the ankle, not extending past it. Engage that back glute, feel energy all the way through the back heel. Core is engaged here as well. And then back foot steps forward, hips come high, head comes low. Full forward fold, head and neck are heavy. Awareness comes to the sacrum or the low back. And on your next breath, you'll hinge or round up to standing. Once you're tall, shoulders roll down the back to elevate those arms forward into the top overhead, palms connecting, ground through the feet, lift through the heart, and take your standing back bend. When you're ready, come tall and breathe the hands to heart center, Anjali Mudra. Allow for a body scan, closing the eyes. Just notice how you feel without judgment, crown of the head to soles of the feet. Moving into boat pose to target our abs, we'll face the top or the bottom of our mat. Lifting the feet off the floor, we can hold underneath of the knee creases, flexing the feet. If you want to go to the next step, go ahead and release the thighs, fingers pointing down towards the flexed feet. You can also straighten into the legs and straighten the spine, or bind with the big toes and peace fingers, or bind with the ankles, working to straighten the legs and work the core. Beautiful. Both ways. Remember, no competition in yoga. You're listening to your own body. We'll slowly come down onto our backs, and we'll take the right knee into the chest. So this is knee to chest pose. We can have it be relaxed or active. So John is going to take the relaxed version. So make sure that the foot is flexed and your left leg is relaxed on the mat. Beautiful. Head and neck are relaxed. Ashley is working her core a little bit more, bringing that knee towards her nose or her forehead and hovering the extended leg. When we bring that right knee up into the chest, we're kind of massaging the ascending colon, so this is great for digestion. And then we'll switch. We'll bring the left knee into the chest. Now we're targeting the descending colon. And again, this can be done in a relaxed posture or an activated posture. We'll take a few deep breaths here. And then bring both knees into the chest. You can rock or be still, depending on what feels good in your body. So if you're rocking, you can write up and down. You can kind of massage to the right and the left on your back. Or you can be still. From here, we'll move into our yogic sleep. So relaxing the head totally on the mat, and Ashley, I'll have you scoot down a little bit. We'll flex the feet and bring the feet to the sky. Holding on to the pinky toe sides of the feet, we want to draw the femur bones, that large bone from the hip to the knee, down towards the earth. So we're dropping down as far as we can, keeping those feet flexed. Again, we can rock or be still in the posture, whatever feels better. If you'd like to lift the shoulder blades and take the soles of the feet towards the crown of the head, you can kind of experiment with that. Just see how open your hips are feeling today. And then we'll take another breath here and go into SAVASANA, or corpse pose. So relaxing flat on your back. You'll uncross ankles and allow feet to go about mat width apart, just letting the feet relax to the right and the left. Arms, there'll be about a 45-degree space there, and the palms will face up towards the sky. You can also take right hand over your heart and left hand over your belly. This helps facilitate yogic breath. So remember, we fill from the belly, expand the rib cage, lift the upper chest by the clavicles. Maybe you hold on to that breath, and then exhale, let the top of the chest come down, the rib cage come in, and squeeze the core to make sure all of that stale air is breathed out of the body. So this pose just helps at the end of a yoga practice to find relaxation, to think about all of the work that your body just did. With every out breath, think about letting go of muscular tension and stress. And with every in breath, think about breathing in peace and positivity and wellness. So we'll take another breath in and out here. Yoga blankets can be very beneficial in finding a comfortable savasana corpse pose. Maybe you do a supine meditation. So just knowing some placements for blankets can be helpful. This is what we call a spine fold, so nice and long. This can support the length of the back. So you might want to make sure glutes are on the ground and then just go ahead and lay on back, Ashley. So this allows the head to drop some and the shoulders to open. So we'll make sure that those palms are facing up, and this can be very supportive to your entire spine. If you want to add a blanket under the head, go ahead and lift up. You can add a blanket here as well. Next, and go ahead and sit up, Ashley, we'll remove this one. So sometimes taking that blanket in what we call a rectangle fold and just rolling it like a burrito. We'll put it, so our first placement is going to be under the neck for neck support. You might find this very comfortable. The next placement, go ahead and we'll lift your head, but we'll stick it under your low back. Yep, right there. So you can again lay down, let the arms come to either side, and have that low back supported. The next placement is going to be under the knees. So we'll try laying back, and I encourage you guys to try this with us. So just letting it support the knees, letting the feet drop. And you can get as many as you'd like. So if you want neck support and knee support and ankle support, you can use it all at the same time. So we'll move it lastly, and I'm just going to fix it a little bit. Under the ankles, and finding your place of rest here. So we hope that you feel comfortable kind of experimenting with the yoga blankets, and that you find a very comfortable place to create and cultivate more positivity and wellness.